From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
The rules have been set by the Bozeman school trustees for deciding when kids will go back to class full time. Coming up, learn what those rules will be and hear what parents are telling school leaders.
You're hearing about a possible vaccine for the coronavirus in the works, but did you know that vaccine does not include children? I'm Annie Johnson with all the details coming up.
Just ahead of 6:30, Annie Johnson trying to steal my thunder there.
Yeah, she was doing
I'll
a
have
good
to
job.
Talk to that young lady about that.
Yeah.
We'll have those stories in a moment. Meantime, it's 6:30. Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. Beautiful morning outside.
Oh, it is. I am glad that I brought in my jacket. Looks like our temperature here at the studio is 44. The
Balmy.
temperature at Belgrade 33. So that's kind of
what a
how it
difference
rolls,
8 miles
right?
makes, right?
31 in Butte. I think a crisp, cool morning with the clear skies, calm wind. It should really extend into the afternoon, a pleasant afternoon back into the 70s. It is going to be a quiet start to the day. We do have the potential of a nice warm up for today, but cooler temperatures tomorrow. Not a ton, but we'll talk about that, our extended forecast, and much more in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Matt. It is now 6:30. The Bozeman School Board has decided how it will be determined when it's safe for students to return to full-time classes. MTN's Gabby Crevitt has the update from last night's school board meeting.
Bozeman School District Superintendent Bob Connors laid out the metrics for trustees on Monday night that set a framework for Bozeman students to transition back into in-person learning. The metrics, which passed with a 6-2 vote, boil down to three things. 1. Has the Gallatin City County Health Department recommended or required schools to close? 2. Has the governor's office advised or ordered the schools to close? And 3. Is the district unable to staff the buildings?
If we get a yes of any of these three questions is when we step back to totally remote learning.
Connors also presented on indicators from the CDC guidelines and information from the Gallatin City County Health Department, which consisted of data and information about COVID-19 rates in the county. While important for monitoring COVID-19 internally within schools and the county, these figures were not included in the metrics, which had a few trustees concerned.
I hear a lot of the parents talking about how we are not necessarily focusing on the quality of education when we focus on these COVID numbers. And but to ignore the COVID numbers has me concerned.
As well as the public.
You have the COVID numbers, and I think in order to have this make any sense, you've got to establish benchmarks that would say, given these numbers, this is what will happen. But that hasn't been established.
Parents continued to echo concerns about their students' quality of learning in the blended model. But now the metrics have been established, and trustees will make a final vote in weeks to come to allow each grade level back into school. Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Just as a reminder, those target back-to-school dates for pre-K to 5th grade, November 2nd. Middle school is November 23rd, and for the high school in Bozeman, January 25th. Parents have until October 4th to register their students for in-person learning or 100% remote and online. Well, it's no secret doctors and researchers currently conducting trials for a vaccine for the coronavirus. But did you know many of those trials do not include vaccines for children? TN's Annie Johnson has the latest information.
It's a big topic because it affects the ones you love the most, your children, your kids. You don't want them to get the coronavirus, but what's there to know about the children's vaccine?
Most drug trials start off with adults first, and then they may do safety profiles in adults, and then they'll move into pregnant women and also children at the same time.
Bozeman Health is working with a pharmaceutical company to find a vaccine for the virus for adults.
You can give everyone these vaccines, so we've given it to like 120 some people in our area. Does it actually prove immunity to the virus? I mean, this is what the whole trial is about.
But as a parent, why might you consider vaccinating your child, especially if symptoms may not be as severe?
Because they're the ones who spread it to their grandparents. And so if you vaccinate children, just like the flu, not that many children, have severe flu-like symptoms, but they're the ones who give it to the older adults when they come at Christmas and visit.
And the million-dollar question is, how safe would this new prevention be?
I mean, right now I can tell you the safety data for the adults is actually very, very good, right up there with all the other vaccinations that are available to both kids and adults. So extrapolating that to children, it's going to be just as safe in children as it is for adults.
And after safety is established, the doctor believes a children's vaccine won't take long to find.
It'll go very quickly because they've proven safety. And that's the biggest thing.
The vaccine Dr. Gentry is talking about is through a company called Pfizer, only one of about 5 possible vaccines currently being worked on. Reporting at Bozeman Health, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Now, of course, work is urgently underway to find a vaccine for coronavirus. Different reports estimate a possible vaccine may be available by the end of the year. With the threat of possibly catching 2 major illnesses around the same time, many people are wondering if they'll be able to get both coronavirus and the flu vaccine, or if they'll have to pick between them. Doctors at Bozeman Health say more testing is needed for a definitive answer, but as of right now, it appears that people may be able to get both.
There's not enough evidence. The way they signed up our trial is that you could not have a flu vaccine within 14 days of the coronavirus vaccine. So it's, in the long term of a winter flu season, you should be able to get both vaccines. Just 14 days apart is all we ask.
By the way, the CDC says flu season typically peaks between December through February, but cases can start as much earlier and they can last all the way until May. Well, Montana marking its 175th death from COVID-19. That mark reached after Bighorn County and Yellowstone County each recording 1 new death yesterday. There are now 306 new cases statewide. That's not a record, but far higher than we've seen in just the last 2 weeks ago. Gallatin City County Health Department's latest numbers show 63 cases since Friday. Another letter has also been sent to Gallatin High School families telling of another COVID-19 case in the school. Close contacts had been notified. There are 148 active cases in Gallatin County right now. 3 people are hospitalized. Butte-Silver Bow Health Department reporting 24 new cases, 52 still considered active. Jefferson County added 5 new cases. Madison County had 2 new cases, 4 considered active there. And Park County has 2 new cases. Well, in other headlines, there was a small fire in Three Forks yesterday. MTN photographer and engineer Ben Zentner shot these pictures yesterday afternoon. Fire mostly put out, but the Department of Natural Resource Conservation and Three Forks Fire Department were able to get there in time. Few animals were moved. It was partly on airport land, partly on private property. Smoke could be seen from as far away as Manhattan. In other news, perhaps you use a wipe to sanitize shopping carts, or maybe the store does it for you. Health experts say they may help, but warn that wipes can also spread bacteria. After weather, learn about a new disinfecting device that may be even better. But first, let's check in with our friends at CBS.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS this morning, President Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden will meet in the first presidential debate tonight. We'll look at what to expect and the strategies that may help each candidate make an impact. Plus, Anita Hill spoke out nearly 30 years ago about her own sexual harassment. First on CBS this morning, she tells us how she's now trying to change the way misconduct is handled in Hollywood. And Ethan Hawke will join us. The actor plays abolitionist John Brown in the new limited series, The Good Lord Bird. It's a fabulous performance. And first on CBS this morning, why he says it's the right time to tell this story. All that coming up when we see you at 7.